you, Carrie.
So welcome everyone to the next keynote with Planet Pilot and the journey to create a healthy planet managed by empowered kids. Very exciting topic. So I will hand it over to Crystal and the team there. So go right ahead. The floor is yours.
So thank you so much and welcome to Planet Pilots. Today, what Planet Pilots want to do is kind of like to have a sharing section and open discussion with all of us, because like we understand that right now it's the end of this week, of this conference week, and tomorrow we're going to start the journey. And today we really want to share our journey, just to get you maybe like inspired by that, and maybe a little bit like kind of like get some just our key learnings maybe, and also I mean like it can be later co-creation with us. That is really what really want to do with all of you here. So let me start it. Planet Pilots, we started this project in a similar challenge. It's like open innovation event, which is pretty similar to this one. And we started it 8 months ago. And it started with like in Educate4.Life community. And we like from the beginning, we didn't know each other like at all. And we just joined the game, the journey. And then now we are here. So my name is Crystal. I'm from Vietnam. And with us today here, we have Lars. Hello, Lars. And we have Diana from Colombia. Sorry, Lars is from Denmark. And we have Justina, who's from Belgium with us. Yeah. And also we are supported and like getting really deeply involved with the team and being on this journey is Martha. Hi Martha. And we have Jessie, and also our like in this challenge we also have our team, like Planet Pilot Challenge team, and this team also like be with us today, and also be with us like during the challenge and after the challenge to co-create like solutions to empower kids and teens. And we also have the support of and get inspired a lot by Marc Prensky, as well as a lot of support from all of our like amazing advisors, our amazing community of more than 500 people. So actually, if you already watch the assignment recordings, so you may know that that's kind of like the community attributes. So yeah, I hope that reminds you of something like that. So yeah, let's move ahead. Oh, sorry. Yes, so just that was the crew. And Planet Pilot started with an MTP. So we had find out our common MTP as well. That's one of the assignment that you will have like during the section tomorrow. So we found out our common MTP, which is massive transformative purpose, is to create a healthy planet empowered by kids and teens. So that is our MTP. And from that MTP, we had a moonshot of co-create 1,000 ways to empower kids and teens. So from that, we started with with the kids, and then the parents, and then the partners, schools, experts, and a lot of other people who are passionate about empowering kids. The first MVP that we did from it was called the Eagle Sprint. So the first MVP that we did, it was a quest. So I'd like to invite Diana with us to share with us about our first MVP. Thank you,
Thank
Diana.
you very much, Crystal, and to share the excitement as well to have everybody on this call. It's really been an amazing journey for us to be able to really live open innovation by coming from an open innovation event ourselves, as Crystal was mentioning. And so when we started, we really had the goal of connecting kids and empowering them to make use of the abundance around them, right? The different disciplines, the different expertise and uniqueness that they each bring from their unique parts of the world. And so that together they could accomplish and make a real impact in the world. So we started to do this with quests. We have a little satellite here, and the purpose of quests was that one quest at a time, kids would get exposed to who they are, what they like to do, and how they can really contribute to making the world a better place, right? Doing so from a young age rather than waiting and hoping for them to do so when they grow up. So that was the very exciting beginning, but it didn't stop there. We have started to empower kids in many other ways, and I would like to perhaps give Justina the opportunity to introduce what we have been up to lately.
We're always observant. We listen and we watch what is going on. So observing and listening to the parents, to the kids, we've observed that after the quest, kids stuck together. They remained, they continue to cultivate their dialogues, their conversations, their play dates around different topics. So observing this, we have decided to give it a try and open a space which we called Hangouts. Hangouts started in a pretty informal way, and you would not believe what is happening at Hangouts at the present moment. We have a publishing house that is being that sprang from an initiative by one of our pilots who has been moved by a story of Bolivian cholitas and has written a book about cholitas who have challenged the status quo of men-dominated climbing, Aconcagua climbing market. So the 11-year-old girl has written a book, and right now we have a whole crew of planet pilots writing books on different topics. Once they started writing books, during one of the Hangouts, one of the parents who has recently won a competition on his team has won a competition on the design of a city on Mars, has spoken to the kids about it, and we currently have kids writing stories on how to move the Earthlings to Mars. So we're not finishing there. More amazing things are happening around Minecraft. What started as already amazing sandbox activity is right now taking shape into building best curriculum for India on Minecraft. So you can imagine there's an Indian boy who has started doing this, and right now he's cooperating with kids from Denmark, from New Zealand and other places who are participating in this project intuitively, instinctively, spontaneously. We're not finishing here. Some weeks back, we've hosted TEDx Planet Pilot event linked to the huge TED countdown event where kids have learned about the need of cutting down the emissions, carbon emissions by half by 2030. And we right now have one pilot planting trees close to in the forest next to in his community, in his neighborhood, right? And what we will try to ping things to inspire the kids during the hangouts, the Minecrafters and the others, is to go around and think about how to dive deeper and more meaningful into Minecraft or whatever other opportunities that arise in this topic, in their activities of their choice. Because what I believe is makes us different is that we listen to the kids, we do inspire them, but we always allow them to follow their choices and their drive. And we do this because in the R&D time of our ideation time of Planet Pilot, we have examined a selection of best practices, best pedagogies from the past, from present, and best schools. And we have come across this amazing book by Marc Prensky. And we would never have imagined that today we would have Marc as our amazing mentor and supporter, helping us to construct the one of the very first, if not the very first, empowerment hub. So it is with really great honor. With if you could hear my heart beating, it's always beating very fast whenever there is a mention of Marc Prensky. I have the honor of introducing you an amazing thought leader. Floor to you, Marc.
Can I share my slides? Okay, you need to give me permission to share my slides because I'm going to use them. Hi, everybody. I am a huge fan of Planet Pilots. When I discovered them, it was as inspiring for me as when they discovered me, because we're so much on the same page of what we're trying to do and how we're trying to help kids. And this is, so they gave me 5 minutes. And what I'm going to use my 5 minutes to do is to share with you very quickly a new vision and new hope that I see emerging in the world. I'm going to go through these slides like lightning, and I'm going to make sure that they're available to every single person, and you can use them and discuss them and think about them. So what is new vision and new hope? It's all about seeing the future through the eyes of our kids. And that is something that we have really not been very good at doing before. We just looked at through our own eyes. Today's kids are growing up in a very, very, very different world. And we need to acknowledge that. And that means that every single adult in this world has to make a choice about whether they want to pull the kids back to the future that they know and that they grew up in, or whether they want to move their kids forward to the kids' future. If they want to go back, we can go back to 20th century education, which we all went through. We can add icing to it, incremental changes to it, make it a little better. But that's not enough for the future. If we want to go forward, we're really going to need to empower and help our kids accomplish. So I really focus now almost completely on empowerment. The way to the future and the new goal is what I call empowering the humans of the future. And Planet Pilot is definitely in the forefront of doing that. They are one of my favorite groups in the world, and I totally support everything that they're doing. So what does empowerment mean? It means giving kids the power to affect things and then letting them do it. Because if they don't do it, they don't really have the power. They're not empowered. We've moved from old technology to new technology. You all know that. We've moved, which you may not know, from old beliefs to new beliefs. And right in the middle stands COVID-19, which is a good marker of an old and a new in the world. In the past, our kids were generally powerless. When you and I, most of us were young, we couldn't do very much. We could learn, so we went to education and they educated us. But now that the kids are so potentially powerful, our job needs to be to empower the kids. And so while we used to send kids to school, we're now inventing this new thing called empowerment hubs, or maybe it'll have a different name at some point, but that is going to be much better as we move from 20th century education to 21st century empowerment. That's what's going to enable our kids to have an impact in the world. That's what's going to enable our kids to create their future in a positive way. That's what kids are going to need in order to fix the world, which in so many ways now is broken. And that's what they're going to need to overcome the fear that so many feel because the world is in difficult times, the world is going through COVID, we have climate change, we have new technology. It's a fearful time. Kids need empowerment. How do we empower them? I think there are 4 big elements. The first is beliefs. And that is really the most important, because if you believe you're empowered, if you believe you can make changes, then the likelihood is much greater than that you will. But along with that, we need real world accomplishment. Kids have to do things in the world that make it better. They need to figure out how each one of them is unique, because they're going to be automated if they're not unique. And they have to learn to become symbiotic with the new tools we have, which are technology and collaborative teamwork. So there is a big divide in the world. And I'm going to go through this really quickly, but you can look at it and should very much on your own. We used to think kids were powerless, that technology was just a tool we could do without or not. In-person was always better. Individual work was what counted. We had to learn mastery before we could do anything. And education, as we did it in the 20th century, was so important and necessary that now the UN wants to give it to everybody. But in our new world, in our 21st century, kids are powerful, and technology is a part of being human. And online is an equal option depending on the situation. Networking and collaboration are key and crucial. And accomplishment comes before we learn to do every single little piece. So while we do want to help kids grow, 20th century education may no longer be the best way. That's a big divide. Another big divide is what's important. In the 20th century, learning and making yourself better and getting high grades and rankings and learning to learn and academic thinking, knowing what's going to be coming in your world and getting ready for it, your own interests and passions to some extent. But in the 21st century, what's important is accomplishing, is making your world better, is getting things done and learning to accomplish, to use your thinking in the real world and to be ready, because we don't know exactly what's coming, to be ready for everything and to apply your passion with impact. So I think that the new beliefs divide that we just talked about and that you should look at really carefully is actually more important than something that people keep talking about today, which is the digital divide and the haves and the have-nots, because without the new beliefs, you can't move forward. And the digital divide will eventually take care of itself as the world progresses and technology gets cheaper and more people have it. So the second piece is, of course, real world accomplishment. I don't have time to go into this, but there are thousands of projects. Planet Pilot is about to sponsor some of them, and that's really terrific. And we need to have impact. We need to measure the impact these things have. In terms of individual uniqueness, every kid has a unique mix of dreams, concerns, strengths, and passions. And we have not focused on that in the past. We're still learning how to do that, but that's what's really, really important. And finally, Our kids need to become symbiotic with both technology and with teamwork, because technology and collaboration are now huge new parts of our humanity. So there's lots of things. Again, don't have time to talk here, but our machine parts are already taking over some of the things we used to do in our heads. But we're still better at a whole bunch of things in the middle here, and especially accomplishing, and we'd better make sure that we can do those things well. Every kid knows that their world is going to be very different. Doesn't matter where they are, where they live. They look up in the sky, they see the satellites, they live in a new connected world, but they all know that there's lots of problems. Everybody sees problems. We're never going to run out of problems to solve. So that new vision that I offer you is powerful kids who can fix and build their world. They want to be powerful. Every kid I've ever met wants to be able to do this. And the new hope is that you as an adult, and that we as adults, will choose to bring our kids into this positive future. That we will find the courage to move forward and not back. And I'll remind you that courage is to feel the fear and do it anyway. So our kids' new hope is that we're going to make a positive future happen for them, and that we'll do it before it's too late. I salute you all. Thank you so much. Please write to me. I hope that fit into 5 minutes roughly. And I will share all these slides with you, and thank you so much for what you guys do. It's just a privilege to work with you.
Fantastic, Marc. Thank you so much. That was amazing. We knew you couldn't squeeze it into 5 minutes, so we allocated more time, but we didn't tell you about it. Thank you so much. But you're not done yet at all. We will have hopefully an empowered and engaging discussion with everybody on the call. And Marc, you will be part of it, and the Planet Pilot team will be part of it. And most importantly, everybody else on the call will be part of it. But first of all, thank you, Marc, for being here early in the morning with lots of things going on. But we all...
Good things going on. Good things going on. We woke up to some very good news today.
We did, didn't we? And fingers crossed. And we, I think, all have one eye on another monitor. But our strong focus as a team is on empowerment and really understand what does that really mean. If I may continue from here, Crystal, because I always get so carried away and excited when Marc speaks, and I'll build on a little bit of that. So please give me also 5 minutes, and then we'll move into a discussion because we want to learn from every one of you how you understand the term empowerment. What does that mean to each of you? So you can think about it now. In the next couple of minutes. I just wanted to tell a little personal story before we get in there. And I can tell you everyone in the Planet Pilot team have their personal stories, and so do all of you, for why you're doing what you're doing. If you are doing something that you find purposeful, meaningful, then you're doing it for a reason. And I'm doing what I'm doing for strong reasons for me, which is for my kids. And I know that my friends in the Planet Pilot team are doing the same thing. And not just for our kids, but if we can find something that empowers our kids, find a way to do it so they can live their lives in purposeful, meaningful, and empowered ways, then we have done our job as parents, haven't we? and that's the strong motivation behind what we are doing. And we want this to be available to all kids on the planet. And we want it to be affordable, if not free. And this is a lifelong mission for us. So this is, we are in this for the long game. But the personal story I wanted just to share very quickly. I grew up in Denmark, so it's a privileged country in all ways, any way you can think of. But it was also boring for a young kid who wanted to see the world, but grew up in a small village where nothing was happening. And I was being told by my school and everybody else that you have to make a choice. You have 4 options when choosing your future. I found out it's called the Dell model. It's not the computer, but it's the Dell model. You can choose to be a doctor, an engineer, a lawyer, or a loser. That's essentially the options I was given. I chose to be an engineer. I don't know about the rest of you. And I'm thankful about that. That has helped me actually for the rest of my career so far and initiatives. But I only worked as an engineer for a few years. Then actually my purpose, my passions took me in zigzag directions, right? Following what I found interesting. And now let me park my history here and fast forward. I became a dad 10 years ago for the first time. And then you get exposed to an education system again. And I had gone through a super boring educational journey. I have to be honest about it. So boring. And now I was starting to see the education system where nothing had changed since I was in school. Nothing. My kids were experiencing exactly the same thing, where they were being told what to learn, when to learn it, always with the same other kids from the same teachers, same experience day in and day out for years and years and years. And told to shut up and listen. And although that is not a bad thing, education has served us well for many generations. And I loved and respected my teachers and all of that. But I just couldn't handle that my kids would have to go through 10, 15 years of the same experience, right? That's a lot of years. Yeah, and everything I needed to learn, something I had to learn on my own actually after my graduations. So, and then COVID-19 hit us all, right? It hit our schools early this year, beginning of this year. Our schools could no longer deliver. They didn't know what to do. The kids were stuck at home with the parents. The teachers were stuck at home. This was unprepared and unexpected for everybody. Nobody knew how to handle this. Essentially, we had to homeschool. Fortunately, we were already homeschooling one of my boys, so we knew how to handle this. But most others had no idea. It became a COVID holiday, and I don't know if you recognize that from your own families. But at the same time, we're about to start Planet Pilot, and we realized this is the moment when the kids have to get connected to each other, right? Now, otherwise they would be isolated, right? There's nothing worse than isolation unless you want isolation. So let's connect the kids. That's the first step, in my opinion, on how to accomplish empowerment. Connect the kids with others and let them do what they find to be the right thing. That's what we did. We used our own kids, got connected first. They made friends immediately, started projects immediately, played a lot of games, all of that. Now we had something interesting going on. We had the first Planet Pilots, and they showed us the way, essentially. We also quickly learned we cannot be the teachers. We should not be the teachers. We have strong beliefs, but we also don't want to give our beliefs and pass them on to the kids. The kids need to form their own beliefs. I'm sure Marc can talk more about beliefs a little bit later in this session, but we don't want to do that. We don't want to be teachers. We want to understand empowerment, set the kids free, because they know what is the right thing to learn, and they will go and do it. Kids always do the right thing if you let them. So that's what we have been learning as adults. This is hard for adults. This is hard for parents. We know, because we've been working on this for a long time now, but we are getting better at it. Now we are working with parents, the parents to our planet pilots. So because they are also interested in how can we empower our kids, if that's something we can do as parents. Maybe it's something the kids just go and do for themselves. That's something we are trying to learn. So the parents are now connected in this network as well. And I know from Justina, there was an amazing hangout for parents who are a member of the network earlier today. So now we have a network of the planet pilots, kids typically from 8 to 15 years old. Some are a little bit younger, some are a little bit older. Everybody's welcome. And then another network of the parents. And I'm not even going into schools that have been attracted also to what we are doing. But we are working with schools. We just completed an AI quiz in Finland with 66 new planet pilots that we could onboard in one go. That was an amazing feeling, and see what it's like to empower kids in a classroom. Something we hadn't even thought of really doing. We're doing things to help kids who are stuck at home. And now we saw this opportunity to work with schools because they wanted to. So now we are connecting a lot of dots here. We are very excited about that. And we want to connect everybody who wants to be part of this, to learn together, to empower more kids together. And also to find out, what does empowerment really mean? We have discussions about this every day. And how do you know if your empowerment initiative works? How do you know how it works? Can you talk about how empowered you are? Or, so we are very excited about diving into the world of empowerment. And I personally honestly believe this is a new paradigm that someday can replace the educational paradigm. It's a whole new way our kids will grow up as independent, connected, collaborating pilots that are solving global challenges in new ways because they can, because they are empowered to do it, because they're motivated to do it, because they do what they love with people they love, across borders, across cultures. That has been another challenge, I think, in the world, in the way the world has been developing. Borders are closing, cultures are struggling with each other. That's the wrong direction. We need to connect people across borders, across cultures. The kids do it seamlessly, they love it, and all we need to do is connect them. Enough about that. I also spent a little bit more than my 5 minutes, but we just have to pass on our passion and our reasons for doing this, because you are also sitting out there with reasons to be here. You are here on this call for a reason as well. And we are happy to learn about those reasons. But what we are going to do now is move into a discussion and hear you speak. And I agree, Justina, this is our problem. We love to speak, and we should be listening. And that's what we are ready to do now. So the question that I'd like to throw out there, and I hope you all will catch it and open your mic and tell us what you think. There's no right or wrong here. Right? What does empowerment mean to you? That's my first question. What does it mean? What does it mean to you? Anybody who feels brave and ready to speak up first? Excellent. We see some great keywords coming up on the screen here. I'd like to hear some voices as well.
Well, listen, let me step up to the plate here.
Thank you, Kieran.
I don't really want to speak about empowerment in particular. I want to talk about how people think. And a lot of you guys have heard my rap on all this stuff, but basically the voice in your head is not something you are doing. It's something happening to you. And we've all been hijacked by the language machine in our head. And the issue, the game changer, is to wake up from the Paleolithic trance of language. And this happens, we have this installed in us in the first 4 or 5 years by our parents and the television, basically, but nowadays. And so my issue, what I'm looking to, is basically teaching parents to raise their children so that they are no longer literally entranced by the voice in their head. I mean, we've all been taught, I was taught, that voice in my head is me. That's me. I think that, I said that. But what we've begun to learn in the last 50 years of neuroscience is that, no, that's my language machine, and it's operating according to the way it's been programmed. And for all of us here, it's programmed in English and other languages. It turns out English is deeply flawed. There's what I call the 5 stupidities of English. There's some serious structural flaws in English that impose unconscious, erroneous assumptions on our thinking. It's somewhat difficult, but it's possible for an adult to break the identification with that voice and reprogram it. But it would be easy to raise the next couple generations of kids to never need to be deprogrammed, so that they just are aware from the very beginning that the voice in their head is their language machine. Sometimes it's useful, sometimes it's ridiculous, but they don't just believe everything they hear it say, and they can operate as a programmer of their own brains. From there, they can go anywhere. We've got all this great technology, we've got all the sources in the world, but if we don't train the next 2 generations of children to learn how to think, well, they're going to use this technology to destroy the world. So before anything else, of course, it's my project, so I think it's the most important one in the world. But to me, I can't imagine anything more important than raising the next couple generations of children to be free from the Paleolithic trance of language and to be able to think effectively and communicate well. So I'll leave it at that for now.
Thank you very much, Hiran. And here is on our Planet Pilot team that participates in this challenge here. So way to go.
So MB here. Hi, everyone.
Hey, MB.
Some of you I've not met yet. MB, short for Mary Beth or Mary Elizabeth. I've been in the education field all my life. Music has been at the core of who we are, but that's not all. I couldn't agree more with you, Hiran, about navigating or supporting our youth forward. And from my perspective, we are the guardians and the nurturers. And it's our honor and our joy and our job to help them to navigate their own lives with the educations that sometimes are used to help them shift rather than addressing directly what the issues are at hand from at home, but the educations that help them to think beyond themselves, higher purpose than self. And many of these, it's an indirect way. And this way, a lot of those solutions come easily and effortlessly without them even having to deal with them. And working with the parents absolutely is core. So it begs the question, what are those educations? And Planet Pilot definitely is that you know, sort of the next step in following up with some of the foundational educations. So what are those programs that bring the parents and the kids together? I know music definitely is one of those. It deals with a lot of issues. A lot of music teachers are social workers. You've got, I really believe it's talent education. Every child, every human being is talented and a contributing being to society. And so it's helping to develop the talent in that child. And for the parent as well. So there's landmark education. I see the great value in that, especially for the children. But in order to get the children, you have to get the parents. The parents have a lot to have to deal with once that education is learned. There needs to be follow-up. There needs to be a system in place to support those parents and adults in particular. And that means social workers too, because social workers of today are, of many of them, forgive me, I don't mean to generalize, are working in the old system that's meant to hold people in that place, to draw their, and pay attention to what doesn't work. And the more you pay attention to that, the bigger it becomes. So it's supporting everyone in those tools that help them to move forward and create. The children just get it. So that's wonderful. Then it can be followed up by Planet Pilots. The Suzuki philosophy, if you're not familiar with it, Dr. Shinichi Suzuki speaks of talent education and the mother tongue. And music it is that language that is universal and brings us all together. So that education in itself, and it starts with speech. It starts in the home. It starts with creating that environment that is reasonably structured. And it's different depending on the culture, of course. And it may not be specifically the violin or the piano, but it's the concept of the family unit being brought together to create this beautiful life together. And that's lost or has been lost. It's become an egocentric, very egocentric world. It's time for us to shift that exponentially, and in fact, we all are. Lars, I'm so grateful. It's been a challenge to navigate these last few years. And being a part of this community and the Open EXO has been a blessing.
You're a blessing to us as well, MB. It's so fantastic to see you again. And this was a great way to articulate, I think, what we all feel. And thank you for the references, some great sources of inspiration when we more strategically plan how we want to improve and accelerate what we are doing. So that was I enjoyed that take on empowerment. I'd encourage you all to go into Slido if you haven't done already and leave your take on what is empowerment. We'd like to collect your words. And for those of you who are writing that your English is not so good, well, if I can do it, you certainly can as well. And you're doing great. So please enter at least just your words in Slido, so we can see what comes to everybody's mind when we talk about empowerment. Is there anybody who wants to put your voice to what you're thinking as well?
I will share one thing that just occurred to me when I was listening to MB, and that is that there is a potential tension between people wanting to have their own experiences, be individuals, do whatever they want to do, and our collectivity, which requires certain kinds of rules and ways and agreements and shared myths in order to get together. And what I just thought of when MB spoke was Bach, who I have fortunately returned to listening to recently. Bach is somebody who was one of the most inventive and creative people who ever was on the planet, but he did it all inside the conventions of the music of his time. He followed all the rules. In fact, we all look to him as to see how to follow the rules, and he taught us with many of his works how to follow the rules. So what's interesting in terms of the Planet Pilots here is that we need to collaborate. We can't just each be individual on our own past a certain point. We can up to a point. We can create new music, hip hop, other things that we want to. But as soon as we start interfering or hurting other people or doing other things that may be harmful, we have to figure out how to deal with that. So that's to me part of the tension, is that you want to say, how do we pilot the planet for everyone? Not just for me as an individual, but how do we all collaborate to do that? Even if we don't all do exactly the same thing, and we have lots of flights. I love the metaphor of pilots because it means we can have, millions of flights, but all those flights in some sense need to at least coordinate in the sense of not destroying things. And so that's a real interesting something to help figure out.
That's a good one. Thank you, Mark. And for those of you who are writing that they are driving, please drive when you're driving. I don't expect it put to the slider when you're driving out there. Please, I want you all to be safe so you can be the valuable part of our journey that you are. Great. But everybody
I'm going to excuse myself if I may. I have another meeting after this that I need to do a little preparation for. But again, I want to just encourage everybody to be a Planet Pilot, to think about what it's doing, to participate here, and to help invent, because we really, if we take Heron's idea that we need to become different people and think differently or speak differently or whatever it is for the 21st century and beyond, we're going to have to figure out how to do that. And these are the kinds of groups that will. So again, I salute you. Again, I'm very glad to be here, and I wish you all the well and luck in the future. Thanks again.
Thank you, Mark. Have a wonderful day. All the best. Speak to you very soon.
Bye, Mark. Pleasure
Bye-bye.
to meet you.
Okay, that was some great input to what is empowerment. Please keep it coming, right? If something more comes to mind, also after the session, we are always accessible. Please share your thoughts. Also, if you think we are coming up with not the ideal definitions, or we are addressing this in the wrong way, We want to learn, and we are on a learning journey here. And so are you. So let's do this together. The next question I want to post now, I want to throw out to you is, who should we connect with out there in the world? Who are the groups of kids and parents and others that are already doing something similar? I recently had a conversation with Marc, and I've had the same conversation with many others on this call, that, you know, we are not the first ones, obviously, to give the kids their power and let them do what they are excited about. And we are not the last ones. There are many amazing initiatives around the world. There are many small and larger clusters and networks of kids, small innovative new schools and other types of networks that are doing really important stuff, but they're not connected to each other really. Now, we are very keen to at least connect more kids. That if we can accomplish that, we have come a long way. So
have you been in touch with Landmark, the family division?
I don't believe we have. We are in touch with a lot. So, but let us write that down. And this session is now about collecting ideas.
Mm-hmm.
We reach out to. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. This would be a fantastic program to follow up with after the kids have taken the program, because they're on fire, and then they head back to their homes. If there were and I don't know, forgive me, I don't know whether there is a Facebook page for Landmark graduate kids. If there isn't, I've done some much work behind the scenes to help Landmark to navigate, not in their traditional form of volunteerism, rather disruptive I am, but behind the scenes. So if there is a Landmark page for the kids, and I'm not sure what the procedure is for this, but if you can somehow be in touch with them there, have permissions to be in touch with them there to follow up. Once the kids are excited with the program, they'll be taking it to their parents and pulling their shirt strings.
Yes, exactly. That's what we need. Exactly.
For the parents, Planet Pilots needs to be less is more. It needs to be simple and straight to the point. I haven't had a chance to look through it thoroughly, where things are at right now, but for me, there has to be an immediate go-to. Why Planet Pilot as opposed to anything else, and how, and make it easy for the parents to understand and then engage their kids in it.
Wonderful input. I know time is flying, but another quick follow-up question to you, MB. Now that we are warmed up and doing some incredible things together here. In terms of music, do you know of networks focused on kids?
Many. If you think about it, the education system, inside the education system today, the teachers that have all of the kids are either the music teachers or the phys ed teachers. I would definitely go to the music teachers, and then that would be the coalitions for music education, the leadership, so the students, the teens that are in the leadership positions. And the reason is because the training that we come through are the kinds of thinkers and doers and community builders that you want to draw first. They are at the heart of family unit and the integrity and love and community. Then you got the real trendy ones that are, you know, and popular, and they tend to be more in the sports world. But you want to go directly to the music kids.
I think, Lars, I think we need to start wrapping up. Maybe you could post how people can connect with Planet Pilot and take it from there. And then we can end this session so the next one can start.
Exactly, and we're getting there. So thank you very much for the reminder. And yes, please, I think Justina could leave our contact details in the chat here in the next couple of minutes while we are wrapping up. I just wanted, first of all, to say thank you to.
Can I interrupt one more? I'm so sorry, Lars. I have to interrupt one more time. The word empowerment in North America, the word empowerment is not necessarily a positive one. A lot of the kids are empowerment means control. That means they get to run, they know how it goes, they know better. And because of the accessibility of the internet, the kids are getting to know their rights and they're holding adults accountable. And in some ways that's great, but it's misused. And you're going to lose a lot of people by using the word empowerment. If you call it, and maybe take from the from the Suzuki philosophy, talent education, that we're here to create and support the development of the whole child kind of concept. There's, the book is called Studying Music Piano More Than Music by Carol Begler. And I had shared this before, but just take a look again. In the direction at the beginning, it covers everything you're talking about that needs to be at the heart of what you're creating.
Thank you, MB. We will do that. And with that, I want to thank you, all of you, for spending an hour together with us, listening to a bit of talking. But I hope you also felt a little bit of the power of empowerment that our Planet Pilot kids are feeling when we leave it to them to find out what is next step. And for those of you who are in the Purpose Alliance Challenge in the coming days, also from the Planet Pilot team and Educate for Life, we wish you all the best. We're here to support you, and we salute you, and we look forward to learn with you on this journey. So thank you all. Have a great challenge.
Thank you, Planet Pilot, and congratulations on the success you've had so far. And thank you for sharing everything. So with that, we'll end the recording and start the next keynote. Thank you so much.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye, Lars. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Okay, for those who want to stay with us, we are super happy, but that's going to be in Spanish. Lars, you are fluent, so you can stay.
I need to learn, so yes, I'll stay.
Perfecto. Vale, pues bienvenido a todos. Vamos a dar un poquito de tiempo a que más gente se conecte. Que viene ahora la academia. Te invito a que te quedes. Quédate, Graciela.
Sí, me quedo.
Fenomenal. Vale, y voy a esperar un poquito a empezar a grabar, a que se vaya uniendo más gente. Está con nosotros Verónica y Mauricio, que son los que van a llevar la presentación. Vale, stop recording.